So I've been spending my Christmas break working on a spinnerbait article for Game and Fish magazine, and it actually won't go to print until July of 24. But when you're working in print media, you're working 5 to 7 months in advance of that publication date. But it has me thinking about spinnerbait strategies and tactics, and here we are in the middle of winter, and it makes me think about one of my favorite approaches with a spinnerbait in the winter months, and it's the big heavy spinnerbait with a big number 5 or number 6 Colorado blade. So I want to break down the bait for you and tell you the types of banks that you can target with this. This is a big fish bait. First of all, we want to talk about the blade size, because if you're not familiar with this, if you're fairly new to spinnerbaits, the blades are going to be designated by number, and the larger the number, the bigger the blade. So this is a number 5, this is a number 6. The 6 is going to be a little bit bigger than the number 5. You can even go up from there, but for our purposes, the 5 or 6 are what we want to utilize. If I have that number 5 blade, I'm going to use a 3/4 ounce head. If I have the number 6, I'm going to go with that bigger 1 ounce head, even in shallow water, because you need that heavy head to counter effect the drag that Colorado blade is going to put in the water. Because what we're going to do is fish these baits vertically. We're going to let them fall next to cover, and I'm going to tell you about that in a second. But to finish out the spinnerbait, we want to utilize a big, thick, beefy trailer. This is the Yamamoto paddle tail Zaco. Big wide body, big heavy kicking action. And what that big trailer does is it certainly increases the profile of the bait, makes it a bigger target for those fish, but it also kind of slows the fall as well. So I don't want the bait to just rocket to the bottom, but I want to counter the effect of the big blade and the big beefy trailer with that heavy head, and that's just a great setup. So really what we're trying to target with these spinnerbaits are isolated cover that are on these steeper shorelines. And what is a steep bank? Well, it's going to be 45 to 60 degree, maybe even steeper than that. These steeper shorelines are where these wintertime bass are going to congregate and hold. And I like this isolated cover because they're typically going to be, looking for some type of cover to suspend next to. And whenever we bring this bait up next to the cover, let's say I've got a bush in 7 feet of water, I'm going to swim this bait up to the top of that bush, kill the bait, and let it fall vertically. And that helicopter effect as it falls beside the cover really imitates those dying bait fish that we see a lot of times in cold weather. And if those fish are just kind of inactive, they can't resist the falling of that spinnerbait next to the cover. It's a killer way to catch them. Now, the important thing is that you need to maintain a sense of feel with the lure as it falls beside the cover, because a lot of times what will happen is the fish will pick it up as it falls, and if you've got too much slack in the line, you'll never know it. So we want to find what we call that semi-slack line. It's that happy medium where you have just enough bow in the line where you can still maintain a sense of feel for that blade thumping through the water, but you don't have so much tension in the line that you're going to pull the bait away from the cover. You'll get that sense to where you know what the bait's doing, but you're not pulling it away from the cover. And if you feel that spinnerbait blade thumping as it falls down beside the cover and it suddenly goes mute, or if it stops, more than likely a fish has picked it up. And a lot of times they'll thump it really hard like a jig bite, but if you have too much slack in the line, you'll never know that. So that's a really good tip to just maintaining a good sense of feel on fishing these baits vertically. It's absolutely a killer technique, and it's a big fish bait. And man, I hope it puts some big ones in the boat for you this winter.